Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Data Playbook. We have our Week 11 Sunday games to go through now, so we're going to go through those one by one. So let's get into it. And then getting into another divisional matchup, you have Houston at Tennessee, where Houston is favored on the money line with a spread of 5.5 and a total line of 37.5. We'll move over to the team averages and then look at our rankings, with Houston being about average offensively, 14 passing rank, 19 scoring rank, 21 little below average for the rushing rank. Tight end ranks about average too. However, defensively, they're very strong with an allowed scoring rank of 1, so they're the best at preventing their opponents from scoring. Allowed passing rank of 5, allowed rushing rank of 2, allowed tight end rank of 4, so very good defensively. Tennessee, on the other hand, very bad offensively, scoring rank of 32, passing rank of 29, rushing rank of 31, so about the worst numbers in the league offensively. Their tight end rank helps them a little bit here, but can't save everything. Defensively, they have an allowed scoring rank of 30, which is really bad, but they have an allowed passing rank of 18. Allowed rushing rank is pretty bad at 27, but a pretty good allowed tight end rank. So they're better at stopping the pass than anything else. So if anything, they're the best defensively against the pass. And getting into the quarterbacks, you have David Mills, because CJ Stroud is listed as out, and Cam Ward. David Mills has averaged 11.7 fantasy points per game this season. Cam Ward has averaged 8.1. David Mills has had 1 interception this season with no other turnovers, and Cam Ward has had 6 interceptions this season, 5 fumbles lost due to sacks as well. Switching over to our team averages, and then looking at our carry share, you have David Mills that doesn't quite get on the board even yet because he doesn't quite have enough information. And then with Cam Ward, unfortunately it's cut off, but we can look at this next, but that's probably about that 12-ish% on the rushing carry share, and maybe about 8% on the rushing yard share. For your running backs in this game, you have Woody Marks moving above Nick Chubb and Tony Pollard. Woody Marks averaging 9.7 fantasy points per game, while Tony Pollard averages 9.9. The only turnovers come from Tony Pollard with 2 rushing fumbles this season. So then we'll just move into our averages. And if we look at our rushing carry share, you get about 37.5% of the team's rushing carry share goes to Woody Marks. So he's starting to inch out Nick Chubb. He may do some more damage this game. And he gets about 33% of the team's rushing yard share, so a little less percentage than his carry share. With Tony Pollard, you get about 71.3% of the team's rushing carry share, which is a significant portion, and his rushing yard share is pretty close with 70.8% as well. Also, we can see that Cam Ward has about 10.8% of the team's rushing carry share and about 6.8% of the team's rushing yard share. Moving into the receivers, you have Nico Collins and Calvin Ridley, with Collins averaging 14.2 fantasy points per game and Calvin Ridley averaging 7.5. Nico Collins also is the only one with a turnover, with 1 receiving fumble loss. Other than that, we'll move to the averages, and we'll look at the share, with Nico Collins getting a 25.7% of the team's target share and 27.6% of the team's receiving share. Over here with Calvin Ridley, we can't quite see that one, but we can see it probably next. But that still looks to be about 15% of the team's target share. And then we can see this one was 17.2% of the team's receiving yard share. For our number 2 receivers, you have Jaden Higgins moving up the ladder over Christian Kirk, where he averages 6.3 fantasy points per game, and Alec Ayomanor that averages 7.8 fantasy points per game. There are no turnovers, so we'll move to the averages. And then looking at their share, you have Higgins with a 10.3% of the team's target share and about 10.1% of the team's receiving yard share. And you have Alec with 21.3% of the team's target share, 19.2% of the team's receiving yard share. And then here we can also see previously with Calvin Ridley getting 14% of the team's target share. And then ending up with our tight ends, you have Dalton Schultz and Chig, who I can't say his last name, so we'll just stick with Chig. With Dalton Schultz, he gets 10.5 fantasy points per game, and Chig gets about 6.3. Neither tight end has any turnovers, so we'll look at their averages. And down here with Dalton Schultz, he gets about 21.1% of the team's target share and about 22% of the team's receiving yard share. That does seem to make him about the second largest on the team in terms of his receiving. Chig gets about 15.6% of the team's target share, 16.7% of the team's receiving yard share. So it'd be an interesting game to see. I do think this total line being low is correct because Houston is banged up a little bit without CJ Stroud and moving some other players around with Woody Marks. Makes me think that their offense is going to be much worse than even this. But you are going against a pretty bad defense. But I think the biggest part of this story is that you have this really bad offense going against probably about the best defense in the league, which just tells me that Houston should shut down Tennessee, and then they just have to struggle to score a little bit in between. So I do think it's going to be a very low scoring game. And there's your numbers for that game. I hope that you found it useful. And if you did, leave a like and subscribe. And otherwise, comment on what else you want to see in the future. But other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you for the next matchup.